Good morning to everyone. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Uh, hope the quality of voice is okay. Could any one of you please confirm? Okay, thank you. So I'm sorry for yesterday. The network was really bad. So today we are going to continue the previous session. Previous session we were discussing about what are virtual providers. A virtual provider is a provider that accesses data on the fly. The source of data for a virtual provider is the SAP HANA view. It could be an analytic view or a calculation view. The main advantage of having a virtual provider is you can combine data from HANA and BW. A virtual provider will get data from HANA in real time. And data is also populated to BW in batch process. It means that when you have scenarios, we have ECC. ECC to BW. This is by RFC connection. Underneath the BW, we have HANA. From HANA, we are creating a virtual provider. On HANA, we are creating a virtual provider. From ECC to BW, we create these cubes. The cubes and virtual provider, both of them, you can include them in a multi-provider. So multi-provider is an object where you can mix a virtual provider with a cube or a DSO. On top of multi-provider, we can generate a report. The virtual provider can directly access data, and the cube will have a data source. From data source, PSA, PSA transformation, and TTP. This is the standard way of loading data. So we schedule jobs over here. The same HANA system, from ECC to HANA, you replicate tables. The tables on the ECC you replicate to HANA. Now this is real time. You're doing here. Here you're doing real time. So whenever there are any changes over here, immediately it gets transferred. If the data is available in HANA, when you execute a virtual provider, instantly you can have access to data from HANA. From ECC to BW, here it is not real time. Here this is batch. Because you schedule the jobs. You schedule the jobs in BW. So based on the schedule, the data comes here. So historic data from ECC and real-time data to HANA, you can mix and match data. So these are called as mixed scenarios. So in the same way, in BW you have a multi-provider, means multiple providers we can combine in this object. You can do union. In HANA, like multi-provider for BW. When BW is powered by HANA, you can create composite providers. A composite provider is an object where you can, just like a calculation view. Composite providers are just like a calculation view. But calculation views are not available in BW. So calculation view in HANA and BW is on HANA, you can create a composite provider. Composite provider can do both join operations and union operations. It can do both join as well as you can union. Like how a calculation view can do joins and unions, even a composite provider can do joins and unions. So what is the difference between a calculation view and a composite provider? Calculation view can do only for objects, joins and unions between information models and tables. But composite providers can do information models and tables plus the objects from BW. So you can combine data from objects from BW as well as information views and tables, but these are only limited to information views and tables. But on top of it, you can also do for BW data models. So let's see how we can create a composite provider. I'll log on to the system. Click Start. Click All Program. Click on SAP HANA. Click on HANA Studio. So now we log into HANA. At the HANA Studio, we have BW modeling. Click on BW modeling. Expand the system. Provide the password. Click OK. So now we logged into BW. So when you click on the HANA modeler, here you have SAP HANA system. When you click on the BW modeler, we have BW system and also HANA system. So this is for BW and this is for HANA. Now I'm expanding the info providers. So let's expand the info provider. Under the info provider, let's go to the our info area, get copa underscore data. Let us right click on the info area, click New, and click on the composite provider. Once we click on the composite provider, this is similar to calculation view, where you can do unions and joins. You can use union, inner join, left outer join. The main usage of a composite provider is it not only uses Hana models but also BW models. So you can mix and combine. And the main difference between a multi-provider and a composite provider. Multi-providers can only do unions, and that too only objects for BW. Only objects for BW, only they can do union. And calculation views can do unions and joins only for objects in Hana. A multi-provider for objects in BW, a calculation view only for objects in Hana. Composite provider, objects from both BW and Hana, it can do both unions and joins. So it is in between a multi-provider and a calculation view. Multi-provider is only limited to union and only limited to BW objects, where the composite provider can do for both BW objects and Hana objects. It can do both unions and joins. Okay, so let me create a composite provider. ZCP1, ZCP1. I'll select the union and click Finish. The interface is similar to a calculation view. Click on the scenario pane. In the scenario pane, you have the union node. We have the union node. At the union node, if you click on this icon, which is Add Objects, click on Add. So you have info providers as well as Hana views. So let us take a few info providers. I'll go to SAP NetWeaver. Let's go to BW on Hana. Provide the username and password and click Enter. Provide the transaction code RSA1, click Enter. Let's go to the info area. So here we have ZICPA7, and we also have C underscore ZIPA7. So here we have two cubes. So let me take a technical name of a cube. Go to Hana, just copy paste the cube. So you can see both the cubes in the Hana Studio. So let us select one of the cube, click OK. So this is the object from cube 1. Click on the union again, click on Add, copy paste the object. This is the second one. Select and click OK. So now we have C underscore Z IP A7 and ZIC PA7. Now click on the union. Let's click on the union node. In the union node, so here you have the cube 1 and cube 2. So what we can do here is right click on the cube 1, create assignments, similar to calculation view. So here you have BUKRS and VV0107. Now right click on the cube 2, create assignments. So we're basically mapping the objects from both the cubes. So similarly you can map objects from Hana also. If I click on the union 1, click on add. Now let's select Hana view. Now what object do you want to select from Hana view? So let us select views from Hana. Let's click on Hana modeler. Expand SAP HANA content. Let's go to ECC. I'm just trying to access data model from HANA. Okay, let us access this data model. Copy. Click on BW modeler. Now let's go back to composite provider. In the union, click on this icon, add again. I'll select HANA view, copy paste the view. So now able to access the views and click OK. So here you have object from BW, two objects from BW, and you have another object from HANA. So now I'll click on the union. In the union, now we have two objects from BW and one object from HANA. Right click on BUKRS, create assignment. So here, please see here it got added. So what you can do is when it is added, you can remove. You can just select and drag and drop. It's not creating an assignment, just drag and drop. Because the technical names are different. You see here it is jet BUKRS 7 and here it is BUKRS. That's why it is adding in the target. Let's do it for the VV010. VV070. So once we have required objects from information views and BW objects, here you have check BW object, and click on activate BW object. Once we activate the object, expand composite provider. Here we can see Jet CPC1. We can access this Jet CPC1 composite provider in BW. You see how this object is created. We created this object, the BW modeling at the Hana Studio, in Z Copa underscore data info area. I go back to BW, click refresh. Now this is the object Jet CPC1 in the BW. We can right click on this object and display data. So when I created the BW modeling at the Hana Studio, the objects are created on the above application layer. It displays in the above application layer. Click display data. Click field selection for output. Now this is the object. This is similar to indicator in a calculation view. It knows what data is coming from what info provider. Info provider is nothing but the object that differentiates the data coming from different objects. Click on the company code ID, click execute and execute. Click continue. Now this data that we see here, this is coming from the info provider ZIP, ZICPA7, and the other object, the technical name, is from the Hana view. So in this way, we can combine data models from BW and Hana using a composite provider as the BW modeling at the Hana Studio. So what is the advantage of a composite provider is you can do unions and joins between the data model from BW and data models from Hana system. How a composite provider is different to a calculation view. In a calculation view, the limitation is we cannot use BW objects. Directly we cannot consume. A composite provider can create a calculation view. InfoCubes create a calculation view. InfoCube create an analytic view. data store objects, create an analytic view. Info objects, create an attribute view. In a similar fashion, composite providers, create a calculation view. But you have to make a setting in order to create a calculation view. Click on the General tab, External SAP HANA view. Click on this icon, click Activate. Click on the HANA modeler. Right click on the content. Right click on the content. Click Find. Find for ZCP C1. ZCP1. So CP1, the calculation view that we created over here, the composite provider we created here, created a calculation view. So what can we do with this calculation view? A calculation view can be included in other calculation views. So we cannot directly consume objects from BW. A composite provider can create a calculation view. This calculation view I can include in other calculation views. Because for a calculation view, you can take calculation view as a data source, but not composite providers as a data source. So let us select this and click OK. So this is the calculation view created by system. So this is the text table of BUKRS. And this is the cube from BW system. SAP above one is the schema from BW. And finally, in the semantics, this is the output. Click Data Preview. Click OK and click Raw Data. So like I can see data in BW. Right click Display Data. Click Field Selection for Output. Execute and execute. Click Continue. In the similar way, here, this we are seeing in the BW, and here we are seeing the output in the calculation view. So a composite provider can be exposed as a calculation view, and these calculation views can be consumed in native HANA data modeling. A composite provider is created in BW by combining objects. A composite provider can be included in other composite providers. So just I am showing the reusability, how we can reuse objects. So if you want to use the same composite provider, so how a calculation view can be included in other calculation views. A composite provider can be included in another composite provider. Like for example, we see some scenarios. The company code calculation view can be included in other calculation views. Later I'll give you a concept called, we will see a concept called reusable views. We discuss about a view type in a calculation view called reusable views. In a reusable view, you can take combination of calculation views. That is in the Hana Live. In the Hana Live, we have something called reusable views. You can take combination of calculation views, and during that scenario, this calculation views usability in other calculation views will be very useful, so that we don't have to create every scenario from scratch. Like we can create a company code reusable calculation view. We can use in any number of calculation views. Just we create all the building blocks. And these building blocks, you can take combination of these building blocks based on the scenario. So you can create one block over here, you can create another block, you can create another block over here. You can mix and match different calculation views to create a scenario. So if I go back, click on the composite provider, click on the general pane. This composite provider can be added to another composite provider. Check on this and click activate. It means that you can take this composite provider as a data source to another composite provider. So when I create in BW modeler, if I create another composite provider, ZCP2, now we take inner join. Select inner joins, click next. From the Hana, from the info provider, select this, click next. Select the information view and click finish. Let me just close everything. Let us refresh. So here you see ZCP2. So when you get this error, just close the Hana Studio. Let us reopen again. Let us reopen the Hana Studio again. Click OK. The HANA system is not on. Right click, log on. So if the system is not on, and if you did not log off manually, it means that whenever you face HANA system is off, click on the HANA modeler, double click on the system, give the password, and click OK. Click on the BW modeler, double click on the system, just I'll remove the HANA system here. Once let's remove, right click, attach SAP HANA system. I'm attaching the HANA system again. Select the system, click OK. We have HANA and BW. Expand. This object is corrupted. Let me delete and recreate again. Let us delete this. Click on New Composite Provider. Click on the scenario pane. So now this is inner join. So join with, you can add few more objects. We're doing a join. On ZBUKRS7. So this is the join condition. So based on the join condition, so this is the output. So in the third tab we have output. Click check and click activate. Suggest that we're doing an inner join and accessing data models from BW and the analytic view from HANA. Click back again, refresh. Jet CP2, but he can only see objects from BW. We cannot see the analytic view. Only we can see objects from BW, but when you data preview, you can see the combination of data from analytic views as well as cubes. We cannot see analytic views. If you want to see what objects are involved in this object, we can see in the HANA Studio BW modeling. Okay, let me conclude this topic. So a composite provider can do unions as well as joins between the objects from BW as well as from HANA. Because the calculation view can only take data sources from information views, whereas composite providers can take info providers and information views. A multi-provider can only take objects from BW. So for mixed scenarios, this is one of the important objects. Based on the business scenario, you can do both unions and joins as well as taking data sources from BW as well as from HANA. So there is another object called as OpenODS view. When right click on the composite provider, click new, right click on the info area, click new. Here we have another object called OpenODS view. So we discussed about DSO. You remember we discussed about DSO, data store objects. How data store object is different from OpenODS views? OpenODS views are similar to transient providers. A view, OpenODS view is also a view. It is, the name itself says it's a view, means it doesn't persist data physically. It accesses data in runtime. These are also called as field-based DSOs. This is also known as field-based DSOs. So this is a two-dimensional object. Cube is a multi-dimensional object, but a DSO is a two-dimensional object. Right click on the object, right click on the info area, create OpenODS view. Z. Giving the name and the description. So for an OpenODS view, semantics. You can select from facts, master data, and as well as text. Master data attributes and texts. Source type. You can take BW data source. You can take a database table. You can use a virtual table using HANA Smart Data Access. You can use a transformation. We can use data store object advanced. So all these are different data sources for an OpenODS view. So let us select a data source from BW. So based on the data source in BW, I can create a data model using an OpenODS view. So what is the data source? It is a source of data that you can extract from the source system. So if I log on to the ECC system, double click on the ECC, Let us give the username. Password. Let us go to RSO2. Click enter. The other day we created a data source jetce1 copa table underscore ds. I'll click display. So this is the data source we created the other day. But let me show you again. Just quickly I can show you. Just select this. Click create. It's already existing. Let's click create. So this is the data source. We'll assign the application component. Let's provide the description. So what is the table that you want to access from ECC? Which table do you want to associate to this? So we have the table called, if I double click on the table, so this is the transparent table we already created. Click contents and click execute. So this is the data inside the ECC system. Click back again and back, and click save, click continue, click local object, click save. Now we created a data source. We know how to create data source. So once we created data source, now these data sources, you can go to BW. Let's go to BW, click on source system, right click, check. Source system connection is okay. In order to replicate a data source when the connection is okay, click create session, click on create session, enter the T code RSDS. Enter the T code RSDS, provide the data source name. So what am I trying to do here? We are trying to replicate. So we see an exercise how to create a data source in ECC and how these data sources are replicated. So I'm doing the same exercise again. I'm replicating these data sources. So this is the data source name and this is the name of the connection. Click data source, click replicate data source. So in the Hana Studio, so this is the data source name, does not exist. So we have to replicate data source. So I'll go back, click data source, click replicate data source, and click continue. Select the data source and click continue. Data source replicated. Once this is replicated, click browse again. Sorry, we need to activate. First we need to activate. So once data source replicated, click on change. Otherwise these data sources are not active. So it's in processing. It needs to be active. Click activate. Click continue. So once we click continue, it is active. So now these data sources in the HANA Studio, give the source system name. The source system name here is the source system. Click on browse T90 CLNT 090. So we're accessing this connection. So this is the data source name, this is the source system name, and here you have the OpenODS view. So we have ECC system. Inside the ECC, we have tables. On top of tables, we created data sources. These data sources, I'm replicating to BW. And once the data source is active, the HANA Studio BW modeling so these data sources, based on these data sources, these are the sources of data. On top of this data source, I'm creating an OpenODS view. Once you create an OpenODS view, I'm creating, so who is providing the structure for OpenODS view? A view has to inherit structure. So basically it is inheriting from data source. So who is providing the data for the view? The data source. So previously on data source, we used to create transformation DSO to transfer data from source. We use info package. Then from here, DTP. So here we are physically persisting data. We physically store data over here, but a view access data in runtime. So how you have an analytic view or a calculation view in HANA, an OpenODS view is also a view. It's similar to information views in HANA. But these objects are available for BW consumption. So OpenODS view not only can take data from data source, they can use data from non-SAP tables using Smart Data Access. So these are the different sources: data source, database table. Directly they can be built on a database table in HANA, or a database view, or a virtual table using Smart Data Access, transformations in BW, and data store object advanced. So this is a fact because it contains transaction data, and click finish. So here you have an option to generate data flow. It means that it creates the traditional way of loading data. Click on fact, click on facts. So here you see all the objects from the data source. You see all the objects from tables. So in the data source, we have a table. The table has all the columns. All the columns are there inside the transparent table in the ECC system. So these columns I'm able to access in the OpenODS view. So you can select all these objects as key figures, nothing but the measures. You can select one key attribute. BUKRS is the key, and VKORG is a characteristic, nothing but the attribute. So this is just like key attribute, this is an attribute, and these are measures. So automatically system is creating based on source fields, it's creating a structure for view. So these are view fields, fields of the view. Click validate and click save and activate. So once the object is created, so here you can see OpenODS view. So now you can go back to BW, click on info providers, click on refresh the entire tree. So here you see a square box with white color. This is OpenODS view, and these are composite providers. These are DSOs, these are info objects, these are info cubes. Now this is the data source. So right click on the OpenODS view and display data. Click field selection for output. See, please see, in this case I did not create any info object. All these objects are created by system because it's a view. Select the required objects, click on execute and execute. So it accesses data in runtime from source. Click back. So this is the data inside the ECC system. So this is on the ECC system, and this is on the BW system. OpenODS view access data directly from tables. So a composite provider, the advantage of composite provider is you can mix and match data models from BW and Hana. You can do unions and joins. Just to remember, an OpenODS view, not only from data sources, you can get data from smart data access. You can get data from table. Directly Hana table, you can use a Hana table as a source or a Hana view as a source. You can use BW data sources. Yet we are not creating any data models in BW. They're created on the fly based on the structure of the source. Now the source can be a virtual table based on smart data access. The source can be a database table, A source can be transformation. A source can be another data store object. Now here, you see, it's only a view. We physically not loading data. Even when you right click on the data source, click manage, please say I don't have any data in the PS here. We don't have any data in the PS here. I did not use any info package to load data. So where are these objects used? OpenODS views are especially useful in use cases where they can access data from a non-SAP system. BW can also get data from data source, but the real use case is when you want to access from, so this is a real use case of OpenODS view. So now I'm only showing you from ECC system, very straightforward. The actual scenario, more relevant scenarios are an OpenODS view. So here you have Hadoop system. So Hadoop is a system which is basically a file system. It's a file system mainly used for unstructured data. Unstructured, ECC, structured, data in the form of tables. BW is structured, data in the form of tables. Hana can handle data structured and semi-structured. Semi-structured, data in the form of text files. Unstructured, data not in the form of tables, not in the form of texts, in the form of photos and videos. You want to analyze a footage. On what days on this particular route there is too much of traffic. Too much of traffic on a particular route. What is the best route I can take to avoid too much traffic during the peak hours? So Hadoop can propose. So how we analyze data, structured data. So based on the analyzation of structured data, we take good business decisions. Based on the analyzation of semi-structured data, we take decisions based on sentiment analysis. For example, in Twitter, a lot of people are tweeting about the new movie release in the market. Everyone is tweeting whether it is good or bad. So we can take the count of good, how many goods are repeating, how many bads are repeating. So based on that, we can give a review. So today there are 100 tweets, and 100 tweets, 90 people say good and 10 people say bad. It means that the show is bad, the show is good. A movie is good. Sentiment analysis. You can do analysis. For example, a new product is released, a new car model is released in market, Honda BRV. What is the sentiment analysis? A new iPhone is going to get released in market, iPhone 7. So how the people react? Which countries are more positive? They have more stock availability in those countries in order to meet the demand. So in this way, Hadoop can basically analyze data based on photos and videos, photo footage, or a video footage. In a million photos, there is a scenario for Hadoop where Suppose if there is an accident on a highway, national highway, there is a severe accident. Anyone can of you, I mean, nowadays everyone has mobile, so basically you can take the accident footage, accident photo, and in UK there is a service called NHS. It's a government service. So whenever people have any severe accident, they can upload the photo. Once they upload the photo, it will already match, mix and match with millions of other accident photos that are available in server. The millions of photos already, a lot of accidents happen, so a lot of photos are there. So the new incoming photo taken from the ground location is uploaded to Hadoop. It matches with several millions of photos in the Hadoop server, and then it gives the impact analysis. So what is the impact of this accident based on multiple photos that are already available? It gets an impact analysis on the report. It means that what are the services that are required in order to meet this accident? What is the kind of equipment that may be required? So it actually does the prediction. It does prediction and propose so that we can save the human life. Before even going to the location, it gives a glimpse of the what is actually happened on the ground reality. The system basically proposes, okay, this is what you need to be ready in order to go to the location. So these kind of data is Hadoop processing. So we can connect systems like this, unstructured data systems. We can connect via smart data access to the OpenODS view. You can get data from ECC for structured. You can get data from Hana, from a table, from a Hana table. You can also get data from Hadoop systems via smart data access. In Hana, if you see, we have a smart data access in the provisioning area. And right click on this, new remote source, we can integrate to a system like Hadoop. We can connect to Hadoop using smart data access, and based on this we can create a virtual table. If you go to the schema, we're going to see the scenario but later, but just I'm trying to show. You can create a virtual table. These virtual tables, on top of these virtual tables, what can I create? I can create we can create, right click on OpenODS view, new OpenODS view. The source type is virtual table using smart data access. So a virtual table is a data source which provides data that is incoming from Hadoop, and I can process them in BW. So directly the systems cannot connect to Hadoop. So we use the ODBC connection to connect and generate required data. So mainly this is a scenario where you want to integrate data from structured, semi-structured and unstructured data. We can also natively integrate Hana with Hadoop using Hana Aura. There's a solution called Hana Aura where you can natively integrate with Hadoop. So when working in Hana, not only it is necessary to know the integration with ECC, we need to have complete understanding of various systems in the landscape and how we can integrate data. Because when working on the real world, we get data from different source systems. It's not always we get data from ECC, we get data from non-SAP, from tables, we get from non-SAP, from file systems, we get data from sources like BW. So at the end of the day, we are data modelers. There is no doubt about it. But in order to understand the source of data, because tomorrow, if say business user complain that there is a mismatch of data, what I'm expecting and what I'm seeing is little different, then we are the people who are going to troubleshoot. Troubleshooting especially what is in the source and what is in the target. From which source are we getting this data? And this is important on the integration part. We may have a calculation view finally that we are creating, but underneath that you have a BW data model that you're accessing. BW model is not we are creating, these are created by BW consultants. But at the end of the day, we have an integration part from BW to HANA. Like how a composite provider can create a calculation view, and that calculation view we are using in our calculation view. But the source is a composite provider. At least we need to figure out and say to the BW team, okay, there's something going wrong on your side. Please do check. There is something wrong on the ECC side, or something wrong on the data coming from Hadoop or a non-SAP system. We need to just indicate them so that they can check on their side and get back to us if everything is okay or not. So in this manner, we have to check with various teams, and coordination is one of the most important in HANA. Coordinating with various teams to get relevant data and finally delivering the data model according to the user expectation. Okay, this is for today. Just I would like to, actually the scenario was to show how to create composite providers and OpenODS views. Also, I would just wanted to tell where actually the use case of the object, where can we use and how it is really useful when you're working in the real world. Thank you everyone. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'll read out your question and answer your question. Thank you. So tomorrow I'm going to complete all the BW related HANA topics, and then we move on to smart data access. The next data provisioning is smart data access, and once we complete that, then we go on to HANA Live, which is ECC powered by HANA. And after that, we move on to advanced modeling. Okay, thank you everyone. We'll see you tomorrow same time. So tomorrow we see the other topics related to BW, and then we quickly move on to HANA Live, which is ECC powered by HANA, or Business Suite powered by HANA. Thank you. Thank you everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.